hurling. And I mean, we walked out, and just to see the sea green flags and horns and everything, and people are just so happy and so relieved, and as you said, so emotional as well. And I suppose with Dolores O'Riordan passed away, a lot of our songs have been fired out in the previous number of months, and especially it seems to be something with this team as well that for whatever reason our songs have just come with us, and standing outside that train station on top, and between Limerick Your Lady and some of her songs blasting out. I suppose it takes a lot to get me to cry, I'll put it that way, but there were tears rolling down my face, and that has been the case for me on numerous occasions, and certainly my family. It's just, I suppose, what I find is that when things happen to people, they say, oh, it is great and its dreams come true, but when you actually look deeper into it, it genuinely is. Like this stuff, I at times I often wonder, was I fooling myself here? Like, is this actually a reality, or am I in a different planet here? Yeah. And it probably still hasn't sunk in. But I mean, the texts that are coming into my phone, and indeed obviously all the lads' phones as well, the words and what people are saying, it's a privilege to be part of it. That's all I can say.
It's an amazing thing that sport, above so many other things, sparks an emotional reaction, isn't it? Like, I mean, like when you stop and think about it, for you to say, I don't usually cry, but I cried here, like, you kind of wonder what's triggering that. What are you seeing, or what sparks that off?
I suppose I can only speak for myself here, because everyone else is different, but like people that have been following hurling for the last number of years, like they know me, and they know how much I love Limerick as a county, and they know how much I love Limerick hurling, and I always have done. And you know, some days it works out and other days it doesn't, but I have always wanted to be part of getting Limerick to the top step in that ladder. And as I said, it's just, I saw people yesterday and the open bus down through O'Connell Street and out Leannis Road and down to the Gaelic Grounds, that I didn't even think they knew what hurling was like. You know, it just brings the whole city together, and it's just amazing. It's hard to describe, because you have to be, like Colin Parkinson said to me on Monday above in the City West, he said, you know, the celebrations look very subdued on the television on the Sunday night. And I said, well, if you want to see celebrations, you come down to Limerick on Monday, because that's when people are going to be there, and that's when people are going to celebrate. And we walked out of that station and even down to the Gaelic Grounds and see 40,000 people down there, and the songs they were singing, and like we were there for 2 hours. And what often happens, I find, at these things is that at the start they become very loud, and as the time goes on, people get tired, and you know, the things will kind of wither down. The crowd were amazing for the 2 hours; they just loved it. And as I say, just to know that you've had a small part to play has been huge. And I say a small part because there's so many people that have contributed small things to make this big thing happen.
I saw John Kiley do Piano Man, actually. That was one of the bits I saw through. He sang that. Though he was abandoned, he had to kind of get a bit of help. Did you get up and sing a number?
John Kiley is singing Piano Man since 2013, since he was a selector with John Allen, and that's his trademark. I don't think he was going to sing anything else. Anytime we have a bit of a sing song, John Kiley sings Piano Man. Right. And I think when I started out Limerick, hurling with Limerick, I didn't even know the lyrics to Piano Man. Now I can really sing it for myself.
Yeah. We had Maura Taras, who works for Off the Ball, interviewing John Kiley in Croke Park on the Sunday, and I mean, I don't know who else it could be, but there was a pretty loud rendition of World of Our Own coming from somewhere near him as well.
Yeah, I suppose this is what I've been saying, is that at the risk of repeating myself.
Now repeat away, because I'd say you've done 1 billion interviews, so don't worry about
that. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. But like one of the the trademarks this year with us is just having a speaker inside the dressing room and just playing these as tunes. And I don't know how many games we played. I haven't got back and counted up this year, we'll say, but we only lost one. So for every other game, we've had unbelievable crack in the dressing room after games. World of Our Own is just one of them songs that I don't know who. I think Keane Lynch's style of music is shocking. It's probably him, but it's just it gets the whole dressing room going, and everyone goes kind of hand in hand, and they just sing along and listen. It's just great crack. That's all I can say. And did you make a conscious decision to try and let's do that this year and see, does it help us, or did it just kind of happen naturally? Like, how does something like that creep its way in? I don't know about a conscious decision, but myself and Keane Lynch are very, very similar characters in terms of how we approach the game. Yeah, you're both a bit mad, really. Fully mad, I'd say, not a bit mad. But because we try to take a laid back approach. Now it's only in the last number of years that I've kind of taken that approach, but we've always said in recent years, I'll put it, that the same fun element hasn't been there. And it's like everything. If you're not enjoying something, you're not going to perform to the best of your capability. And I don't know, but was it a conscious decision? But I suppose it was just a couple of things that were spoke. But then I can't speak for a lot of this because we only came back into the mix in mid-April or whenever it was after the club championship final. But it was just, everything is just so easy going. When the work is there to be done, we work, and we work very, very hard. Obviously we do, because we wouldn't be where we are today if we didn't. But when downtime is there to be had, I can tell you there's no better team will be able to have as much downtime as we do. It
can't have hurt, can it? Like, because I read some quotes from you. You're in the papers today. Lots of the players are, and it's been interesting to see everybody's happy to talk to the media today, and there's no issues, and it seems like a very open group. But you were making the point that even, we will go for a few drinks. Everyone involved after matches will have a sing-song, will have a bit of ice cream or a bit of food and have a good time. And, that's something we've done this year. And maybe that had crept out of the game generally. I mean, inter-county is serious business now, but that maybe had crept out of the game over the last number of years. You've almost gone full circle in a way.
It has. It's. You said it may be crept out of the game. In my belief, from what I've seen, it did creep out of the game. Yeah. And it was coming to a stage where we were going, I won't say it's worth it anymore, because it wasn't gone to that extreme. But it was a case of that, like, you just want to be enjoying yourself. Like, people will always say, what's different about this Limerick team, or is the mindset different, or this, that, the other thing. The reality is, as long as I've been involved in Limerick hurling, we've worked so hard. It's just, when you have success, I suppose people might think a lot of things are different. Don't get me wrong, there has been a lot of changes. But for previous teams as well, everyone works very hard and has worked very hard. And that's why I have said that my heart today and yesterday and Sunday goes out to the legends that I have played alongside, and that I wasn't even fortunate to play alongside, that kept Limerick hurling going for a long time. And we're lucky to, I suppose, to have we'll get the medals, but as I said, I can only speak for myself. I will remember the people that were there and deserved the medal as much as the lads they have.
It always strikes me watching on TV, especially on All Ireland Day, when there's amateurs involved, less so in the professional world, because look, there's a contract and there's money and you're paying for services, but on All Ireland Final Day when it's amateurs, and it was very noticeable on Sunday, you're all celebrating after the match, and there's jersey numbers there, number 32 and number 34, and I think I saw 36, and I probably don't know those lads' names, to tell you the truth. I don't even know if they're in the programme. There's, you're allowed, 25 on the day or something like that, and those jerseys with those numbers don't just happen by accident. So that was obviously something John Kiley or everybody felt, well, everybody's getting a jersey today. Had that happened through the season? Is that something that you were aware of that was going on as well?
So one thing I have a massive, massive problem with is that I just can't understand why 26 names go on the programme, or you can't tag out the panel that's there. Because I'll tell you something, Joe, right, and I genuinely mean this. I keep on saying, I can only speak for this particular county from what I've seen. Them lads work every bit as hard as the lads that play and the lads that even make the panel. It just, and we had a meeting, I suppose, after the semi-final, because coming into the final there's a big circus and we had to nail down a lot of stuff. That's the reality of it. Yeah. And the one thing I piped up and said in the meeting is, I said, I firmly believe we should be getting 36 jerseys off of O'Neill's, and all of them should be labelled as the same as number 1 as is 36. And John Kiley's response to me was, that's already sorted. So everyone can, one thing we do in this band is we appreciate everyone, and that's why everyone, as you knows, including Paul Brown that was injured, ran out onto that field the other day. They got their photograph taken. Okay, they can't take part in the warm-up, so they put their tracksuit back on, but they all ran back onto the field in their jersey like everyone else did at the end of the whistle. And that, to us, that's a huge thing for us. Our panel is massive. And I suppose, while some people, as you just said there, mightn't get as much credit from the outer world, within us, we'll always appreciate what the whole panel has done.
I guess you can relate to them to a point, only to a point, because look, every time you have come on, not least in the last 2 games, you've made such an impact. Like, you've been, heroic, really. I don't want to say the hero, because I know you wouldn't take that kind of praise, and everyone's a hero. But I mean, you've been such a huge part of the reason that Limerick have won these last 2 games. But you can relate to number 36, because you are starting on the bench. You are trying to digest that disappointment of you're not in the starting 15 today. like you've been a main man, you burst on the scene and you're main man at Na Piarsaigh, and you've been a free taker for Limerick. You've been, I know I'm starting at the weekend kind of a guy. What's this been like the last couple of weeks?
So this is the beauty of sports, show, right? We played Tipperary. I got no game time. That was it. I was a sub. I wasn't used. We went down to play Cork and Páirc Uí Chaoimh. I was a sub. I wasn't used. I went away the following day. I had to do a session on my own because Kevin Downs done it with me because the two of us were in the same boat. We both went down and done a session in the Piarsaigh. Beautiful day. We had to do it because we had essentially we'd have missed out on the weekend's work then because we didn't get any game time.
Yeah.
The only reason I got game time against Waterford is because Anglan was suspended, which I knew. We played Clare. Things didn't go right for any of us, and I suppose I got dropped again. And then we went down to play Carlow. No game time. And I tell you something, Joe, after that game, that was a Saturday evening game, and I was down there and I was saying to myself, what, and I'm not one. I always say that if I know someone's at the head of Limerick hurling for the best interest of Limerick hurling, whether they do right or whether whether I think to do right or whether I think to do wrong, I'll row in behind that.
Sure.
Once I know their best interests are for Limerick hurling. And obviously I always knew that was the case with John. And I went away on that Sunday, and I buried myself into my house for the day, and I put a chat. That's all I'd say about it.
Yeah.
I didn't speak to anyone. A few of the lads knew I wasn't myself. They rang me, came up to the house, and I just didn't want to speak to anyone.
Well, you must feel like Jesus. This is a waste of my time. I'm not getting back in here.
Well,
this is a nightmare.
But yeah, I wouldn't say waste of my time, but I was just trying to rack my brains to say what can I do here?
Yeah.
And it was only in the Tuesday morning, or Paul Kinnock rang me and we had a chat. I'd say Paul kind of had a fair idea, I wasn't myself, and so then and that kind of perked me up a small bit. And John spoke to me then, we said last trend before we played Kilkenny, and I was since there it's been great. But what I'm trying to say to you is that people look at it and they'll say, oh, Shane Dowling, it's great, and he's been coming on, he's been fantastic. But the reality is, for 4 months of this year, it's been an absolute nightmare for me.
I can imagine,
it's just great. It's just great when it works out, and I always say things that happen for a reason. And when I came out after the semi-final, and I suppose I maybe had half a dig off of John. It wasn't even a dig; it was obviously said in good spirits. John was never going to change that team for the final, and I knew that. And to be honest with you, if he did change it, he'd have probably been wrong. Even though it kills me to say it, but what he was doing is right.
Yeah.
And it's been working. And as far once everything is working, I have no problem.
And so what's it like? There is such pageantry with starting. There is, especially All Ireland final day, the parade is an amazing experience. Meeting the president, red carpet, all that stuff. You're sitting there looking on. It must get to you a little bit.
Well, I didn't sit there and look on because I went into the dressing room when all that was happening. I didn't want to be there, or I wanted to be on the first 15. As I said again, just at the risk of repeating myself, but I just went into the dressing room and I just let it pass me by. And once all that was done, that was it.
What effect do you think it would have had on you to watch it?
It probably wouldn't have had any effect, to be honest. I don't know. I always grew up wanting to be there. I wanted to be that person, and I suppose I just kept the head down. I just went away and did my own thing, and everyone does things differently. And I knew what was right for me, and I done what was right for me and right for the team, more importantly. And once that was the case, then I was happy to just move on and
get into the game.
Yeah.
55 minutes, you're going on. How are you feeling as your opposite numbers running off the pitch and you're about to go on?
Yeah, I suppose come the first half, unless something happens, you're not going to be brought on.
Yeah.
Naturally what happens then. So come half time, come the start of the second half, you're again, I'd be looking up at the clock and you see the minutes ticking by and you say, when is my time, and eventually when your time is called upon, you just have to try and deliver. And the funny thing is, and I said this, I'd like to think, I don't know, people might think a lot of things about me and my personality, but one thing I'd like most people to relate to me is that I'd like to think I'm a modest person. And when people were raving about after the semi-final game and how well things went, it was great, and I'd say, things did work out. But I did say that some days you might come on and everything might pass you by, in 20 minutes. It's not that long, especially in a game at that tempo.
Yeah.
And do you know what, Joe? The game did pass me by. I got 2 touches of the ball in 23 minutes. Obviously, one of them was huge, which is great. But when you actually look deeper into the thing, I got 2 touches, and that's all it was.
The moment where you score the goal, it's an amazing thing to do in an All-Ireland final anyway, at any moment in front of that crowd. I can only imagine how much of adrenaline you'd have to put in a needle into your arm to feel what you felt. But it was doubly sweet because at that moment, and we can get on to the 8 minutes, but at that moment, you've just sealed the All-Ireland. Like for those 10 seconds, that's what you've done. And I don't know, if you can't describe what you saw last night, then in Limerick, you probably definitely can't describe what that feels like.
Yeah, and that's why I had some stupid celebration, because as far as I was concerned, a game over, I don't know, but I thought, listen...
game over. It was game over.
Yeah, essentially, you were kind of 8 or 9 points up. You're in 68 minutes or whatever amount of minutes is on the clock. And it was, as I said, I've dreamt about it, and I really have. And it's just to bang it into the hill and just to see the crowd go mad. And it was just... It made it for me. It just I don't know. It was pure magic. Like I don't know what the words is to describe it, because it's like you can't, unless you do it yourself. You'll never know the feeling, no matter how many words I give you here. Unless you do it yourself, or whatever you like. I'll put it this way, or for anyone looking on, is whatever could be your greatest achievement, or if there's something that you want in life so badly and you eventually achieved it. That's the type of feeling I had.
And because I read you do a good bit of visualisation, whether someone taught that to you or whether you've just done it yourself. You visualise things, you think about scoring goals in an All-Ireland final. How did the reality of it differ to what you would visualise? Was there anything different, maybe the noise or maybe something about the moment that was different to everything you'd visualised? It
doesn't. That's the beauty. And this visualisation thing, it's weird. I'd say I don't know how many years I'm doing that. I'm doing that since I was a teenager, and even before. It was just that's how I go to sleep. And some people even said to me, well, how would you actually fall asleep when you're visualising all these things? It's just I can't describe it. And the weird thing is, a lot of the stuff I visualise has actually come to reality for me.
I'm sure,
And a lot of people have actually said that there's a massive thing, or there's books written about visualization. I can't explain it. It's something that came naturally to me, and it's because it's all I've ever wanted in life. It was to win a county championship with my club, not alone an All-Ireland club, because I thought that was so far off the Richter scale. I didn't even dream of doing that until later years. But all I've ever wanted since I was a young kid was to win an All-Ireland with Limerick, and to have eventually done it, and to see everyone and know what's going on around the place. And as I said, have a part to play in that, it satisfies me and satisfies my family, and it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, I've spoken to one or two people about the visualisation thing, and absolutely, if nothing else, it certainly speeds up your reactions on the field. You've probably visualised a million different scenarios: ball coming in low, ball coming in high, defender around your back, 2 defenders here, and you almost worked out how to evade them or how to get around a certain situation. And I've no doubt that's there floating around in your consciousness when you're on the pitch, and it might speed you up by a fraction of a second, but in a way you've almost dealt with those situations before.
Exactly, and that's the thing. And listen, and I keep on saying, everyone is different. You could speak to some lads there, and they say, geez, I'd never visualise that, because, the whole thing would freak me out, and I'd deal with it when the moment comes. So it's par for course, whatever the person themselves end up. But for me, that works, and it has worked. It has worked up to now, and, as I said, every night I go to sleep, I literally dream about winning Ireland with Limerick, and when everything here dies down and everything goes back to normal, I'm going to have to try and dream of something else to get me to sleep.
And do you put a helmet on and have a hurl in the bed with you, or what?
No, I'm not. I'm obsessed by the game, but I'm just not that obsessed.
To finish then, what are the 8 minutes like? When do you realise there's 8 minutes for a start? Because that's when everyone watching went, oh, this isn't over.
I think that was a turning point, personally. You see 8 minutes and you go, Jesus, you see 3 minutes there, I won't say enjoy it, but for a team to get 3 goals is going to be next to near impossible, you see 8 minutes, it's a mental thing. No, nothing changed like we probably ended up going very, very deep. So even when the ball was coming out from defence, there was no targets as such because everyone was gone back, and that happens. And we probably did lose a run of ourselves a small bit, which would be very, very unlike this team. But considering the circumstances and considering the game that was there, you try so hard to close the thing out that you run away from what you've been doing all year. Maybe I haven't watched the game back. I don't quite know. But that 8 minutes, and even when Conor Whelan got the goal, I wasn't even too worried about that. I stood behind Joe taking that 21-yard free, and I didn't see it hit the net because the minute I struck it, I could literally, I know it was only about a second and a half or 2 seconds, I could see exactly, I don't know how much power he put behind it, but he placed it unbelievable, and I knew that was gone in. And then I knew, we got to try to do something here. And Graham Mulcahy's point was massive
so
to put
calm.
So in front. But there was a decision there as well. The game was getting away from us, and James Owens gave us an advantage in the middle of the field. And he should have probably given a free because the advantage nothing came with the advantage, and that would have stemmed it a small bit as well. And even when Joe was taking that last free,
where were you? Where were you? So we know where Joe was. Where were you on the pitch at that stage for the last free?
Yeah, I was. My man actually went for a run up the sideline as if Joe was going to give him a quick ball, so I just went after him. And I just remember saying to myself, you know what? Let this go over the bar. Or into the back of the, or over the bar or wide, but please don't drop short. I didn't want the thing to go into the back of the net. And I was never in my life so relieved to see Tom Condon sprint out.
That would have taken some getting over. If they'd nabbed a goal, I mean, it's probably worse than 94. It's worse than 94. It's like, it's one of the most infamous collapses, and that's the word that would have been used of all time, ever, any sport. Like, I mean, that would be a long, long winter.
No, Joe, it wouldn't have been a long winter. My life would have probably been ruined, to be straight up with you. Unless I won another All-Ireland, my life would have probably been ruined. As is, again, I can only speak for myself. That would have probably killed me. I saw the Club All-Ireland this year. It had a fair effect on me, I can tell you, trying to get over that. And that will always be in the back of my memories. But that's a club, that's only a handful of people. When you have a county resting on you, considering the history that was there, it would have. I really have tried my best not to think of how difficult the circumstances could be, because it's just not worth thinking about. And you know what? I don't have to think about it.
No.
Because what's great now is that the future for Limerick hurling will never know about, or may know, but will never have to worry or think about 94, 96, 2007. All they can think of now is 2018 and the winning mentality that's there. And you know what? Long may it last.
Yeah, listen, we've taken up enough of your time. Brilliant chat with you. I guess enjoy the next couple of days, hours, weeks, months, however long it goes on. Enjoy tonight.
Don't you worry, Joe. Don't you worry, they'll be enjoyed.
All right, cheers. Well done again.
So, man, good luck. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Off the ball on News Talk.
Bruce Betting Sportsbook, Casino, and now Live Casino. Download the Bruce Betting app to see why for the Premier League, Bruce Betting are giving you more. With price boosts, live in-play betting, cash out and ACCA insurance. Make Bruce Betting your Premier League bookmaker. Bruce Betting, in-store, online, and now on your phone. Please gamble responsibly. See dunlewy.net.
Ready for a splash of summer colour? At B&Q, do it for less with Dulux 2.5 litres of standard colour demulsion down from €20 to just €18. Roller set for just €5 and 3-piece brush set for only €8.45. So for low prices on paint project essentials, you can do it when you B&Q it.
News Talk's Happily Hired, brought to you by Jobio.
Find a job you love in one of the 6,000